Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tamara. Today we are discussing our November Buddy Read thriller title. If you would like to see this in video format without ad breaks, you'll need to head on over to Patreon and sign up. Along with ad-free video podcast episodes, you'll gain access to after shows, reading vlogs, and other exclusive content. If you're not into Patreon, but you happen to be listening on the Spreaker podcast app, you too now have access to the after shows and other exclusive content in audio only. If you prefer video, including vlogs, which they may be making a new appearance, you should check out Patreon instead. Joining me today is featured co-host Classy from The Bookish Virtual Assistant. Welcome back, Classy.
Hello, Tamara. Happy November.
All right. Happy November to you. Tell everyone where they can find you online.
You can find me at The Bookish Virtual Assistant on Facebook and Instagram, and Classy Green on both of those social medias as well.
Okay, awesome. So before we get started, you know what? I want to mention, are you on Blue Sky? Did you join Blue Sky?
I did, but I don't use it as much.
Okay, I joined too, but there's nothing on there.
So. No, but I am on Threads as well. And I think I think Threads is just connected to Instagram, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have joined Blue Sky. Yeah, I know.
We'll get it together with that eventually or not. Who knows? Too many things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so before we begin, you guys, just to remind you, as always, we talk full spoilers here with Book Chat. So spoiler alert, you have been warned. Today, we are discussing the book Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. The audiobook is narrated by Caroline Lee and Geraldine Hackwell. Published on September 10th, 2024 by Crown and Random House Audio. The hardcover is 512 pages, and the unabridged audio is 15 hours and 53 minutes. Wow. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Classy, would you kindly share the synopsis?
Sure. If you knew your future, would you try to fight fate? Aside from a delay, there will be no problems. The flight will be smooth. It will land safely. Everyone who gets on the plane will get off, but almost all of them will be changed forever. Because on this ordinary, short domestic flight, something extraordinary happens. People learn how and when they are going to die. For some, their death is far in the future, like age 103. And they laugh. But for 6 passengers, their predicted deaths are not far away at all. How do they know this? There were more interesting people on the flight, like the bride and the groom, the jittery, possibly famous woman, the giant Hemsworth-esque guy who looks like an off-duty superhero, the frazzled, gorgeous flight attendant, but none would become as famous as the Death Lady. Not a single passenger or crew member will later recall noticing her board the plane. She wasn't exceptionally old or young, rude or polite. She wasn't drunk or nervous or pregnant. Her appearance and demeanor were unremarkable. But what she did on that flight was truly remarkable. A few months later, 1 passenger dies exactly as she predicted. Then 2 more passengers die again, and she said they would. Soon, no one is thinking this is simply an entertaining story at a cocktail party. If you were told you only had a certain amount of time to live, would you do things differently? Would you try to dodge your destiny? Liane Moriarty's Here One Moment is a brilliantly constructed tale that looks at free will and destiny, grief and love, and the endless struggle to maintain certainty and control in an uncertain world. A modern-day Jane Austen who humorously skewers social mores while spinning a web of mystery. Moriarty asks profound questions in her newest I Can't Wait to Find Out What Happens novel.
Okay.
Goodness gracious, that's a long-ass synopsis.
It is. But I think it would be fun to actually answer these 2 questions in the synopsis.
Okay.
If you were told you only had a certain amount of time to live, would you do things differently? And would you try to dodge your destiny?
I don't know if I would dodge my destiny, but I probably, well, you know what? Doing things differently is almost dodging your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I would I think I would probably just like try to live my life to the fullest, like enjoy it. Um, yeah, I think that's what I think I would. Oh, Jesus, that's so hard
So,
because that's almost like saying
yeah.
you're gonna die from lung cancer. You're like, oh
Mhm.
shit, I'm gonna stop smoking.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I probably would then.
I definitely would, depending on what she told me. So if she says, if I was one of the lucky people, she said, you're going to die at 101 from whatever, pneumonia, I probably wouldn't do anything. But if I was one of those unlucky people that said, hey, on your 35th birthday, you're going to die in a bar fight, I would definitely avoid every bar I could. Um,
Exactly.
so I would make changes, especially if I didn't like what I heard.
Yeah.
And I would try to dodge it, and a lot of these characters made their best try at
Mhm.
dodging it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I would definitely try to change fate.
Yeah.
But the thing is you kinda have to believe in that to do that, and that's a
Yeah.
whole 'nother layer.
Right, because some of the predictions were health related and
Mhm.
some were just, like I won't say flukes, but just those like like the car accident and the domestic violence basically. I can't remember the exact term that she gave Eve and her, and Dom, was that her boy husband's name? It
Yeah,
was
I
just so
think.
many characters, but the bride and the newlyweds, like
Mhm.
some of those things, it's like, how do you avoid those, because you have no control. Like, I don't have control over domestic violence. Like, I could try and avoid it, but if it,
Well, okay, so let's talk about these 2 instances, but before we do, let's
oh,
go ahead, let's do
level.
our end, and then we'll jump right back to that.
Okay. So,
So, when you finish the book, what'd you think?
that this book was 512
Mhm.
painful pages of my time that I will
Mm,
never get back.
oof.
No matter how fast I listened to this book, it wasn't fast enough.
Mhm.
It was difficult to finish, and I was ready to risk telling you I didn't finish it.
Ooh. You're like, "I was there. It was gonna
I was
happen."
close. I was so close, and
Okay.
I was going to be like, I'm sorry, Tamara. I know, that we're supposed to finish the book, but this was the worst book I've read this year.
Oh, shoot. Okay, that would have been a jarring moment because 'cause you've never done that. I'd have been like, "Wait, what? Oh my
Yeah,
god." That would have been a wow, but you finished, though.
I
When did
finished
you
it though
finish?
today,
Yeah, I finished today too, but, like
15 minutes before we started.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I finished this morning around 8 a.m.
Mhm. It was like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta finish this book."
Yeah.
Mhm. So
I
I
woke up, it turned on my TV, and I was like, "What am I gonna watch?" I said, "Fuck,
I
that book."
Well, you're like, "I know I'm supposed to do something. What am I supposed to be doing?" So then,
Yeah.
like, my girlfriends would send me something, and while I'm watching, I was like, "You know you should be finishing that book, right?" Like, the time you're spending.
Don't watch that TikTok. Listen to that book.
Exactly. And I've
Oh
been
god.
taking yeah, and I mean, we take a month to finish a book,
Mhm.
and I've been avoiding this like the plague.
So, fun side story. We recorded this a week late. So leading into the original recording time, I was like, "Okay, I'm like 60%." I was like, "Okay," I was trying to blast through the stuff on my walks, and it was not great, but I was getting through it. I'm like, "Okay, I might be able to finish on time." And then we hit push the time, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't have to touch this book for another 5 days." And
And
I
you
stopped
waited too.
immediately. Yeah, I stopped immediately.
Yeah. It was not it wasn't even good background noise. Like how you
Yeah.
just how some books you can listen and you can kinda get the gist of it,
Mhm.
and just like, "Okay, I'm picking that up because you can tell difference in tone, and it just wasn't. It was just, "Wah, wah, 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 Charlie Brown teacher," And I'm just like,
I couldn't even tell there were two narrators.
No, when you read the other, I don't know if you saw my face, but I was like, oh, it was two narrators?
I was shocked when I went to Audible. I'm like, two? I could not tell.
No. So I'm assuming one was Cherry and the other was probably the other 6 or whatever POVs.
I think one was Cherry and everyone, and one was the Death Lady.
Cherry is the Death Lady.
No, shoot, I misspoke. One was Cherry, and everyone else was
the other
one.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. But I still I thought it was all one person.
Yeah, it sounded like it to me.
Yeah, it did.
But I was listening at like 2x speed just to try to get this shit done.
I know.
So my first thoughts at the end of the book, okay, so I wouldn't go as far as you did. I think I tried to I started thinking about other things that kind of relate to this book and what the author, I could see what she was trying to accomplish. So I was like, oh, I'm glad that's done. And honestly, the first thought I had, and this is going to sound bad, but I was like, I will never pick another one of her books for the podcast.
Nope.
I said, if I try her again, it's going to be to my own detriment where I can just stop if I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate the ending. I was kind of glad we got a little bit into the future. I like that. Like, finally, we get one happy story at the end. Because all of it was kind of dreadful, and thinking about all of these people's lives, and I kept like the one guy. What was the guy's name whose friend died? He was going to his funeral. Ethan. The whole time I was like, your roommate's boyfriend is going to kill you.
I know, that's what I thought too. He is going to beat your ass.
He's going to kill you. And I think he almost did that day. When he saw him, that would have been the day. But because he saw those two girls, he was with those girls, and like that whole little ruckus happened and they were able to get away. But had he been alone,
it would
have been curtains for him. That guy was like crazy.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah. Because he's like, I never get in a fight. I'm not the kind of person to fight. How? And then the minute she broke up with that boyfriend, I said,
oh yeah. Right. And when he saw them in the kitchen together and he's like, excuse me, am I interrupting something? I was like, oh shit. He's gonna kill you. Here's the friendly fire or the whatever cause of his death in a fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was gonna come when he was banging at the door.
I did too.
I was like, oh no.
I did too. Because I mean, that's classic. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So I mean, there were several people that got out of their what do you call it? Predictions.
Yeah. And I kind of saw that coming because it seemed like some of the minor characters who we didn't really hear a lot about were the ones who were dying. You know?
Yeah.
So I like you, I was like, oh, okay, I see where she's going. You know, like with the beautiful girl who died in a car crash, and
that was so sad.
Yeah,
like, dang.
Yeah, and then the two older people, like it was like the ones that we really didn't get a backstory to, were the ones who their predictions came to pass. So, but yeah, I agree with you that I see what she was doing, but for me, it just took too long to get there. And at that point, that's what made me disinterested because you want to keep my attention. And I felt like she lost me probably 30% in, if not sooner. And I kept trying, and it was just like Cherry's story. There was just so much to Cherry's story that I felt like didn't really add value to the book. And I got that she was trying to do the character development, but it was just like, we get what Cherry is. Cherry is on the spectrum. She's scary smart. We got it. And
I think she's a little bit psychic too.
Yeah, she is. She
Yeah.
is. And we got it, but it was just like some of the other stuff, and I was like, okay, so what was the importance of that? What was the importance of I can't remember, and I should have wrote it down. But there was a few little stories, like in some of her stories, her chapters were short, and it was just like, okay.
See, I wonder if we learned about her history so that we would not dislike her as the quote unquote death lady. She
Mm,
starts off in this like extravagant way on a plane,
yeah,
pointing to every freaking person on the plane and saying the how and the when.
yeah,
And then it's like, who does that? This is the kind of person that does that.
yeah.
And
Eh,
let's dig into it. How does she,
right. And I got
like,
that because I didn't
yeah,
hate her. I did
no.
not. I understood her as being someone who had a talent and just felt like she had to say what she had to say. And I've worked with people like this, and as they like she was saying, like she would tell her teachers when they did something wrong, and she didn't see the problem with that because they did it wrong. Like you wrote the whatever. And I don't think she said that, but like Mr. So and so, you wrote the math problem wrong. Nobody
Mhm.
asked you, but it's wrong. And she just felt like if I see a wrong, I need to let you know. And if she saw, like you said, these people's future, she just felt like, but it was just so weird to be on a plane.
But Cherry didn't even remember doing it.
Yeah,
Like
because
she
she
was
went
like,
into like a trance.
yeah,
Yeah.
she was like in a blackout state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then after, as one of the guy is telling her all the things she did, she's like, well, that sounds like something I would say. Or,
Mm-hmm.
man, my mom used to say that. So I guess maybe I could have said that. But she
Right.
didn't remember really
No. She said she
saying these
remember like going
predictions.
to sleep and waking up and everybody was off the plane.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that happened to me. I just feel like, see, I'm not what I. That's a funny thing to me because I don't really believe in psychics, but I do think people have intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think maybe people get vibes. And like she talks about how she's an actuary. And so she's already trained to look for patterns. And
Mm-hmm.
the character even says, well, maybe I saw this magazine and then I thought this, or maybe I saw A or B and thought that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got this really unique set of skills.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother was a psychic. She was a psychic as well. She told her some things about her life that were true.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it just depends. As a passenger, it depends on how much you believe this stuff. Like, and some
Right.
of them didn't believe it, but then as they started seeing some people die, they were like,
Maybe. Yeah.
oh, maybe I should figure this out because I don't want to die.
Yeah. And I think, like you said too,
Yeah.
that was like one of the underlying themes is like if you believe it, you can change the trajectory of your life,
Mhm.
either for or against. You know what I mean? Like if you believe what she says, you might follow in that path, or you're
Mhm.
just like, that's not going to happen to me, and you stand strong. But I believe in that. I don't believe in this, and you're standing strong. You're going to fight against
Mhm.
everything she just said because you don't believe it. You're like, I'd be damned. I'd be damned
Yeah.
if I'm gonna die at 30. Oh hell no.
Yeah.
I am because Allegra, I am not depressed. I am not
I'm not
depressed.
depressed. She
Yes.
said, "Let me do all the maybe I'll run, I'll get some fresh air. I'm gonna
Some
do check all the
endorphins.
things. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I do not get depressed."
Yeah, because she's like, I am not
Yeah.
following in the footsteps of my grandmother or my dad, because
Yeah.
depression did run in her family.
Turns out her brother had depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah.
So, yeah, like I think one of the more interesting ones was the mother who got told that her child would
Die from drowning.
yeah, die from drowning at age 7. So she threw him in. He knew how to swim before he could walk.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
She had him in so many swimming classes. Like nonstop. It's like she forced him to become an Olympic swimmer.
Mhm.
And he
Like,
was at
"You
the
gonna be
end.
Michael Phelps."
Yeah. And the crazy part is he became such a good swimmer. He loved it so much. At the end of the book, we get a fat flash forward to
Yeah.
him, and he is an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
And he actually says, well, at the age 7, I could have died.
Mhm.
I fell off in a wave, off this bridge. And if I wasn't a strong swimmer, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But because my mom,
Yeah. She fought against that prediction.
she did tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And she was a little OCD. And
CD.
she's writing constantly in a notebook,
Mhm.
my son will not die.
Yes.
Basically. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
When I start hearing her story, I was like, "Oh, no
Yeah.
wonder." Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the best thing she did for him. And who knows? Who knew he would turn into an Olympic swimmer? I mean,
Mhm.
go figure. But you kept your kid from dying.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what you believe, it's what kind of faith you have.
Mhm.
Um or like what do you believe as far as destiny, and so yeah.
Because that makes me think about, like, how some, I think maybe one of the characters mentioned like a parallel world or something. I can't
Mhm.
remember what character, but that threw me right to thinking about, again, Marvel. You know how Marvel has all these universes,
Mhm.
and like they talk about, I think it was Loki. So don't get mad if I mixed up my shows, but like, one version, in every decision you make makes a new reality.
Yep.
So today I turned right and this is my reality.
Changes it.
Another version of me turned left and that's your reality over here.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's what I thought about a little bit. I'm like, wow, these characters, they're making these choices trying to avoid something. They're creating new.
These little waves.
Yeah.
Mhm. Is it like almost like the butterfly effect?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's one of, I love that movie. I won't say it's one of my favorites, but that's one I could watch over and over. Just one little change
Mhm.
can change that effect. I think they did mention something about like if you, is it with the weather or the flap of some kind of wing? Didn't they mention something like that in the book and how it would change? Okay, maybe I've read somewhere else. You're like,
I don't
Classy.
know. Look, now
Uh,
that doesn't mean it wasn't there. I was really trying to pay attention to
Girl, I was
everything.
trying to finish
So,
it, but yeah,
yeah.
that is, all it takes is just one little thing, and you can change. Like I've been on in the car and seen an accident, like, but I turned right, and if I would have turned left, or if I had to turn just 2 seconds ahead,
Mhm.
I would have been that car that was smashed, or if I would have walked, just a little faster or a little slower, that could have been me. So,
Mhm.
I totally get those little ripples.
Yeah.
And I do
S-
believe in those things.
Yeah.
Those little things in the universe.
Yeah. I don't know. So I think even though the story was slow, I think what she was trying to accomplish, she did. Like Moriarty lately, she has not written anything like Big Little Lies in a really long time. Like those type of dramatics seem like they're in her past.
Mhm.
Her current writing is very nuanced and very literary. And even like Nine Perfect Strangers, like, what's the mystery? There is none, like all her recent stuff has this same kind of slow paced, slow and steady, because it's slow the whole time. Nothing really
Mhm.
speeds up.
No.
Um, Very deliberate with a lot of characters and a lot of things, a lot of story.
Yeah.
And this seems to be like this is just how she writes now.
Yeah, I felt like it read like a little movie manuscript or written for a future TV series, because there was a lot of dialogue, there was a lot of description. I could definitely see, actors on the set reading, because I mean, it felt like, say this, so and so said that, and
Mhm.
I could see a series. I could you could. actually see it. And I mean, how many of her books have been turned into movies or television series? I'll say
Mhm.
television series. I don't think any has been movies, but that's what I felt like. And again, we've talked about this before, that a lot of books are feeling like the authors are writing for that next break. But I won't say for her, because she's had several. So she's probably
Yeah.
like, this might be my next one.
Yeah.
Because what, apples don't fall, don't fall.
Apples
That
never fall.
never, yeah, that was one. So I think she has gotten into her flow, and she knows. I mean, she has a following. She has the audience. People are going to, you know what I mean? They're gonna buy her stuff.
So I feel like I was a part of that audience for a long time. I read all those books. I read
Mm-hmm.
Nine Perfect Strangers. I read Apples Never Fall, and I read this one.
Mm-hmm.
And each time I'm like, it's just not, it doesn't have the spark that her older stuff had. Like
No.
what Alice Forgot was so good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everyone loves Big Little Lies,
Yeah.
and there were a couple others that were really good. And
I
I
like the
just,
husband's
yeah, The
secret.
Husband's Secret was good. I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh my God.
really,
It was
yeah,
so, it's like, I feel like she's slowly seeping the drama out of her books.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, it went from this high drama to like a muted drama. Like it's
Yeah,
very muted and low key.
yeah.
And the tone is different. So she's kind of like, does that mean she's worked herself through all her stories that were like really exciting? Like I feel like those stories were exciting and I was all in. And these are like just,
Mm,
they're a little beige. You know what I mean?
yeah, they really are. There was no like spark. There was nothing in here where I didn't even feel like a climax to the story. Like you were saying, the pacing was right here, metronome. Just
Mhm.
there was nothing. And even at the end, it was a good ending. I mean, I won't say a good ending, but there was like some kind of happiness, like you said,
I
with the
felt
Olympic.
satisfaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there was no point in this story where I felt like, oh, we're getting to the good part, this was a mystery.
Yeah.
They claim it to be a mystery, but there really
No,
wasn't
it
a
wasn't a
mystery.
mystery at
Yeah,
all.
it really wasn't. I mean,
No.
that's what Goodreads most people mark it as, but I'm like, there was no mystery.
It
It
was just
wasn't.
fiction to me, contemporary
Yeah,
fiction.
yeah. So, um, but yeah, it really. I didn't feel like you said, that spark, like in The Husband's Secret and Big Little Lies and all these other Alice Forgot or whatever. Those were, that was her
And those were
beginning.
easy. Like to me, I would consider this book a challenging read because it was so slow, because it was a lot to dissect. I think the author was really trying to make it, and she did, I guess, she did make it somewhat emotional. Some of those parts were emotional.
Hmm.
Some of those parts she was trying to, I think, make you reflective or make you think about things. And I think she did that. She was successful in her task, but the delivery was just so
Luster.
lackluster.
Yeah, there
That's
was.
the problem. Like, it needed something. Like, none of these characters, like, yes, some of them had some interesting stories, like the guy who was going to die in a fight, and the kid that was going to drown at 7, and the flight attendant who was going to,
Possibly.
die of,
Yeah. Yes.
she was, yeah.
Right. I know, it's like, can we say it? But yeah.
Death by suicide. That's the
Hmm.
correct way to say it, right? Or
Okay.
I think that's whatever.
Unalive themselves or something.
Unalive themselves.
Yes.
But I so yeah, there were some interesting things. And honestly, even Cherry's story was kind of interesting. Like hearing about her marriages, and the one marriage where her husband, that was an awful marriage.
The one that.
The one that she ended up divorcing, she moved, he's like a doctor.
Oh, the one who cheated with the friend. Yeah, the
Yes.
doctor, the cardiologist, the
She
Korean have. Yeah.
she moved across the country to be where he wanted to be. She didn't want to move.
Yeah, but you knew
She
that
moved
one was
back.
going to be doomed.
Uh-huh.
She said he
She
didn't
knew.
really like me. He just liked
No.
my body. He just wanted to have sex with me.
You know
And I,
what?
and I was like, Cherry. But it was the time too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the time that was going on. But yeah.
Honestly, that's timeless though, because even today,
Yeah.
sometimes
But I'm just saying,
couples,
like, that to leave that back then
yeah,
was probably just a lot harder because she just wanted to make it work. Have a baby. This baby's gonna
she didn't
make it
even want
happen.
a baby.
Yeah, she didn't want it, but she
No.
thought it would save that marriage. And the person she told she didn't want to have a baby to stole her man.
Look, so she couldn't have a baby with him because he had a
Right.
problem.
Thank you.
It
But
was
he got
his
his
fault they
sperm
couldn't
count
have
up
a
though,
baby.
didn't he?
Well, she says she don't know if they adopted or what,
Oh, that's true.
or if they had in vitro, whatever they did. She says she doesn't even know what they did. But
Right. Yeah. But I laughed at her. I enjoyed that line in there after when she revealed, the end of that marriage. I enjoyed when she said, I forgave Sherry. Or I think the girl's name was Sherry.
oh, I don't know.
Whatever. She forgave the woman who took her husband, but she didn't forgive her for taking her in laws.
I know, because she really loved her in-laws.
I was like, that's a good line. I
Well,
like
the
that.
in-laws stay with the child.
Mm-hmm.
They belong to the child.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna pick a side, even if they
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah. And she said, and she knew that. She's like, I know my,
Hmm.
my mother-in-law needs to be, to her son, and I don't, begrudge her for that. So, but
Hmm.
yeah, I really did. That was something I liked. She's like, I didn't forgive her for that because that you took some good stuff from me. Not
Yeah.
not this husband, but my in-laws. So,
Yeah. So I did like Cherry's story. I thought, although I kind of, and yes, when you were reading that description, they did say the word grief.
mhm.
But to me, like there were a couple of things I would have liked some trigger warnings on the book.
Okay.
I don't, okay, so not even just for myself, but I think the public at large could benefit from a couple trigger warnings there.
Okay.
So just because, not everyone wants to read about everything. So there is cancer in this book. There is maternal death in this book. There is some implication of spousal abuse, even though we get a little taste of something weird with
Yeah.
that couple, but
Yeah.
the author turned it. So it seemed like something was weird. This
Mhm.
couple on their vacation, it seemed like on their honeymoon, something was wrong with him. Like it seemed strange.
Mhm.
But then it turned to this thing where he was a sleepwalker and he was scared he was going to do something to her when he was sleeping because she got the prediction that she would die from intimate partner
Mm.
murder or something.
Yeah.
So she kind of shifted that. But, there are a couple of topics that people might be sensitive to
Mhm.
that it would just be nice to know
Yeah.
those things are there. And even like the talk of, suicidal thoughts and things like that,
Mhm.
people just should know if they're sensitive to it before they start.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that it couldn't hurt. Just
No.
throw something on there.
Yeah. Right. It wasn't mentioned in Goodreads or even in the beginning of the book, where they say author's note or if you're
Hmm.
sensitive. Yeah. None of that was done. But
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm
uh,
glad you liked Sherry's story.
I did.
Yeah, I got bored after a while because I was like, okay, Sherry, I get it. I get, you're eccentric and your parents are eccentric and your marriage is eccentric and
Everything about you.
yeah, I get it.
I got it.
Mhm. I got it 300 pages ago.
That's true. I guess we didn't need to know as many details.
No.
Uh, but in the end, though, it was crazy how she knew her husband and her friends would die. Her best friends would die on the same day. She just had the wrong day.
Mhm.
So that was crazy. So at the end, the husband that you really love, they were together for over 30 years. He ended up dying in the most, I guess, that was a peaceful way to go,
Mhm.
but that was wild. Like, and then while you're going on your trip, your husband passes. And while you're gone, your friends die.
Yeah.
Like on the same day. That would have been a lot to get over.
Yeah. that right there would probably send me to my bed for a while.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But then it was interesting kind of how she made the connections. Like when people were trying to find her, some of the people on the plane were trying to figure out who she was and stuff. So then it turns out that the guy that she said who would die in a work accident, he did not die in a work accident, but he did almost get taken out by something in his mother-in-law's backyard or his mother's backyard.
Yeah.
And Sherry happened to be there because she was friends. Wait, it was her friend's daughter.
Ah,
So she was there because, when her friends died, she didn't go to that funeral, but she went to, she
paid her
connected
respect.
with that family.
Yeah.
So she was there when he was there, and that was her, I think it was his wife's
Nice.
family.
Yep.
So he's in the backyard just fooling around, and there's like a piece of equipment back there that she said, well, I don't know if it would have killed him, but it definitely would have hurt him. So
Yeah.
she's like, move out the way.
Yeah.
Watch out. So, so some of the connections that were interesting. And like
Yeah.
when the one girl was like, mentioned her name, she figured out her name. And the other, I think her friend said, I know her. I know her.
Yeah. Is that the one that she read her palm?
Yeah.
The farmer's wife who wound up being a artist, owning a art studio or something. And then what was the guy's name? It wasn't Leo. The one whose wife's name was Neve, the engineer, the civil engineer, he recognized her symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those little connect, because he's like, I know that symbol.
Yeah.
So
which we had to learn how she got that brooch that had the symbol, which is, her husband gave it to her, which I guess, is important to know. So it's, to be fair, the author did link some things together. So it was like somehow 9 degrees of separation for a lot of these people. Know somebody that knows somebody that interacted with her at some point in time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay, look, if y'all can see Classy's face right now, she like, I don't care what you talking about. Okay, this is a great time to take a break. We gonna take a break. Yes, we're gonna take a break, you guys. Check out these commercials by watching the commercials.
Sorry.
Okay. I got the giggles now. Okay, you guys, we are for real this time. We're taking a break.
Okay.
Listen to these commercials. By doing that, you are supporting the podcast. We appreciate you for doing that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And I still want to laugh, but I'm not going to.
Okay,
well, yes, I am. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to complain about? I know you do. I'm trying to like
no, not really. You know what? Like I felt like with the pacing and like the transitions between characters, I felt like it was not smooth. Like there were some points where I wasn't sure which character we were talking about. I felt like it was jerky, like it felt like a bad house mix, like some house music, like it should be a smooth transition into the next song, but the DJ is just like, okay, I'm gonna drop this song and then we're gonna bring it just was not smooth for me. It was just something about the pacing, and I think that probably, and I don't know, it's because the older I get and maybe my attention span, but I'm just like, no, you know what? I'm not going to blame it on my attention span and age. I'll go back to what we were saying with the pacing and the climate. There was nothing exciting that just kind of kept me to the point where I wanted to know how the story ended. Like I really didn't care how the story ended. I really wasn't. Probably the only two people that I was probably really vested in was Timmy and Allegra. And then at a certain point, I started realizing, because like I said before, some of the minor characters were the ones who were dying off, that I realized, okay, they're not going to die. And I just kind of like, I just like lost my interest of it. And it was just like, okay, I kind of know how this is going to end. Except for, like, I didn't realize Tim was going to be an Olympic swimmer and some other little, happy ending things to her story. But yeah, I don't.
So, would you have preferred it to be more of a quote unquote final destination vibe where everyone
No.
dies? Like everyone,
Mm-mm.
because I think that's what that movie was. Everyone,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah.
Yeah. No. Because I felt like with any fortune teller or psychic, they don't get everything right, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, because there's flaws in
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I knew everybody wasn't going to die, and I wasn't looking forward to that. Um, but there was just something about it. It was just like I felt like there just was no excitement. The people's stories to me were bland. Nothing was really exciting
Mm-hmm.
to me. Not nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean nothing.
And I get what you're saying, and I think the amount of points of view did not help that.
Mhm.
So I understand she was trying to show a lot of different people and how they reacted to hearing their future, but it was almost too many characters,
Yeah.
which made it long.
Yeah. Because what was it, like
And
6? Was it 6 points of view almost?
yeah, so we just named a bunch. So Allegra,
Tim's mom,
Tim's mom,
the
the
civil engine
couple,
the couple,
the young couple,
yep, the civil engineer, and Ethan, and
yeah,
Cherry.
and Cherry.
Was there
There
one
wasn't
more?
anyone else. I
I
don't think
think that
so.
might be it. Cherry, yeah, I think that's it. And like I said, the other 2, like, minor ones that we would hear about, like, yeah, because we didn't hear the story, the point of view of the doctors who died, the 100-year-old doctors. We didn't hear the point of view of the young lady who um
Well, we
died in the car.
did. We got, I guess it was, her point of view, kind of like through through a lens, through a camera lens.
Yeah.
We got that scene where she was like she was doing a live stream
Mhm.
on video, so we
Yeah.
got to like see what happened through the lens of a
Her
video.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did get that,
Right.
but there was a lot going on. But this author is known for having big cast, but I think it just slowed down this story. I think if we could have focused a little more, made the scope a little tighter,
Mhm.
maybe that might have helped
Yeah.
with the pacing and some other things.
Yeah. It really did. It became a series to me. Like, their storyline, it was good, but it was just
Mhm.
too much for a book. Like 512 pages of us learning about her teaching. I'll just go with Timmy's mom. The prediction and her OCD, and getting him lessons, and then let's go find the woman, and maybe she can change his. It was just becoming just too much, and it wasn't just her story, it was everybody's story just
Mhm.
becoming. And and I realized how she was trying to tie it back, but it was like, condense it,
Mhm.
because with 6 characters and Cherry's little inserts of her story, it was just like, oh my god, oh my
And
god.
honestly, to be fair, we probably didn't even need Cherry's story because she could have been just the death lady, exit stage left,
Yep.
and it could have been everyone else dealing with the fallout of that.
Yep.
We didn't have to know about Cherry.
Nope. That's why I said her story. I felt like her story didn't add any value to this book.
Mhm.
Um, it really didn't,
Mhm.
because it was just her predictions. And that was basically it, like the destiny of her prediction, the destiny of these people's lives from her predictions.
Mhm.
And her storyline, there was really nothing to it. It was just a backstory.
Mhm.
And then at the end we hear her final story. But yeah, we really could have done without Cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't need to know it. And it would have tightened up the story and maybe even made it a little bit more cryptic because we would have not known, is this woman a legit person or not?
Mhm.
It would have maybe made it more tense, maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, there was a little something that should have been done with that.
Yeah.
So definitely like hindsight.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
they
know
could
why
have
the
did like
editor didn't pull
a
that out.
epilogue or something or
Yeah.
if they really did want to talk about Cherry after the end and said, something at the end very briefly
Mhm.
about what happened, or somebody found her because that was interesting for them to have that little page and people are talking,
Mhm.
but no,
Mm.
we didn't need Cherry's life story and her
No.
mother's life story and her father's life story and her in her beautiful crochet dress and all of her marriages. I just didn't.
We didn't need it. You're right. It
Mm-mm.
was not crucial to the story
No.
other than, I think like we mentioned earlier, her trying to make us not hate the woman, but it doesn't matter. If you try to make it tense and you're trying to make it suspenseful, she should be a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
We should
Uh,
be. It's okay. I
I
know it's
just,
easier said than done.
so do you think, so let's pretend that this gets picked up like all her other stuff,
Hmm.
her recent things. Do you think that the show would be better?
Yes, because I think they can flush things out more. You know,
Yeah.
it.
So I'm torn. It depends on who does it. So
Hmm.
like I'm thinking about Not Perfect Strangers. That show was trash to me. I
I
didn't
didn't
like
watch
it.
it. I didn't even care that much for apples either. The
Apples
apple.
Never Fall. The show was, and you know what? It's because I knew at the whole time I knew that the woman wasn't dead. And that was the
Mm,
biggest thing that pissed me off in that book.
okay.
I'm like, how dare you? We go through this whole thing. You have us thinking the husband murdered her. You have us
Mm,
thinking that something bad happened.
yeah.
And then to find out her ass is just hiding out at somebody's house. I
'Cause
was
she's
so pissed
mad.
off. And so the
'Cause
whole
she's
time,
mad.
yeah. So the whole time I'm watching the show, I already knew it was going to happen. So I think it made it worse. It
Yeah,
wasn't better.
yeah, that part. And the big thing is, like, with Big Little Lies, if you read the story, you knew, but it was still something about the production of that, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you read this, you knew what was gonna happen, but you still
Mm-hmm.
intensely waited to see how they were gonna do this story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I believe this story might be better, because visually, if you're doing little flashbacks of Cherry, it might not be as bad as you giving me 512 pages,
Mm-hmm.
where you could do 8 series, like
Mm-hmm.
hour series, and you can kind of flush things out. But I bet they probably will they'll have to definitely probably cut somebody's story down.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I believe a story would maybe a television series would bring this story, will do it more justice. But for a reader, 6 different points of view that is dragged out, just and like you was and you even said, and one really didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really think her not being
Yeah.
there would have brought a better suspense. Um, that little climax part of just like somebody knowing,
Mm-hmm.
what am I gonna do with this woman just gave us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot. Yeah, I think actually if they did do a limited series, because that is the one right thing they are doing with these books, they're limited one season, one and done. We're going to tell this story,
Mhm.
clear beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Which, on a side note, I heard they're doing another season of Big Little Lies, which is a mistake.
Oh,
Stop
why?
it. It's a mistake. They should have only
Done one. I
yeah,
was
they should
happy
have
with one.
yeah, they should stop, but I guess maybe they knew they couldn't do that with these other books, so I think this could be a good book for this, a 1 6-episode
Mhm.
thing,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they're gonna take a bunch of stuff out.
Yeah.
It's not even really needed to tell the story.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so if it gets picked up, I'll give it a try, but needless to say, I'm just not super excited for new releases by this author
No.
anymore. I haven't been,
No.
but I keep trying. I keep
Yeah.
trying.
Her writing style has just totally changed.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's not mystery anymore. And I
No.
think people are gravitating to her original um genre preference or
Mhm.
her writing style,
Yeah.
and she has totally moved from that, like you said, more towards a literary fiction writer, so
Yeah.
mm-mm. And not to say it's bad, it's just not what I was expecting.
No, I
Or
mean, honestly, her writing is not bad.
no.
She's not a bad writer.
No.
She's very good writer because
Mm-hmm.
everything, like we mentioned, the technical stuff, it comes together.
Mm-hmm. She
So,
flushes stuff out and
yeah,
everything. It's just like, but maybe, as we were talking, maybe it was just marketed wrong. Like, it is not a mystery. If you
not even
just called it
close.
more of a literary, or I don't even call it women's fiction, because no, it's definitely not women's fiction, but more a literary or contemporary fiction,
It could
but
sit on contemporary fiction.
yeah, but definitely not mystery, or not even a thriller.
No.
This was not even a thriller. And I think that's what they're still trying to keep her in that audience, because that's where her fan base is, or her reader base is. And they probably don't want to switch it up. So kind of like with Colleen Hoover, some of her changes. She was a romance, but some of her later writings weren't romance. It was more, it was a different style, but they still labored her under that because that's where her readership was.
Hmm.
So
Don't get me going on that. I don't even think
I
her stuff
know,
qualifies as romance half the time.
right,
So,
yeah, but I'm saying, but
uh,
that's where she started
yeah,
originally. But yeah,
yeah,
hmm but that sells. That's where those sales are. So
yeah.
why switch it up?
Even though readers aren't stupid, people are going to start figuring out this
Hey,
isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I thought she writes.
mm-hmm,
So, how many chances? Well, I guess we're going to have to see, because I can clearly tell there's a clear line of division on the Goodreads reviews. To
mm-hmm,
be fair, the Goodreads reviews are pretty good overall right now. This
yeah,
book right now today sits at a hair under 55,000 ratings,
yeah,
a little over 7,000 reviews, and the average rating is 4.11 out of 5. But if you click on the 2 and the 1 and the 3-star, people are saying the same things. So
mm,
there's like a line in the sand. People are like, this is not what I'm used to. This is not the pacing I'm accustomed to. This is not, people
yeah,
are saying the same things.
yeah. And it's like you want to give her a try because
Uh-huh.
she has good stuff. And like we said, it's not bad. It's just not what
Not what we were going for.
mm-mm. Go ahead and label it right and get her audience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is her new writing, fine. So be it. Just own it.
Yep.
Stop trying to make me think this is Big Little Lies 5.0. It's not. It's none of it. Honestly,
Exactly.
it's like, stop trying to. Yeah.
Exactly. Trying to
Yeah.
bring us back in, because your
Hmm.
last couple of ones were. Ooh, look at the last couple. Let's see what the ratings for her last couple of books,
Oh,
because
let's
that
look it up.
might be the draw where.
Oh, wow. And at the top of this book, it says it's a option to nominate this for a 24 Goodreads Choice Award.
Mm,
You can vote now. I'm not
mm-mm,
doing it.
nah, sorry.
Okay, so let's see here. So her last few.
3 wishes? Ugh.
Three Wishes, that's
Oh,
old.
that's 2023. All I saw was 3 at the end. So I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
so 21.
dang, I didn't know she wrote that.
Okay, so 21 was Apples Never Fall. 2018 was Nine Perfect Strangers. So, okay, in 21, Apples Never Fall averaged 3.76 out of
Okay.
5 with over 393,000.
Wow.
Nine Perfect Strangers in 2018 averaged 3.55 with over 446,000 ratings.
Wow.
Now, Big Little Lies in comparison, 4.31 average rating with over 1 million ratings. Truly Madly Guilty, that was another one. That was 2016. And that was 3.59 with 300,000, a little over 300,000.
But yeah, I think too that this book, she is trying to, like you said, probably revive the feels of Big Little Lies. Because didn't they have a lot of characters? They had a few characters. Yeah.
They had a couple of couples and some friends.
Yep.
Yeah. She's always had
lots of characters.
Yeah, but I'm thinking with Alice Forgot didn't have a lot of characters, I don't think.
The Husband's Secret did.
Nope, it didn't.
Nope.
And also, I don't even remember Truly Madly Guilty having a lot of characters. I know it had two couples at least. I know it had 2 central couples. I remember that.
Yeah.
But her recent books, it's these recent books. It's the one, the Nine Perfect Strangers, the Apples Never Fall. Lots of characters.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny. Both of those books got 3s from me. And I think they were generous 3s. Those recent books just are not hitting. So with that said, let's rate this book.
One.
Let's go ahead and rate Here One Moment.
2.
2? Okay.
I gave it a 2.
That's fair. I'm going to go with a 3. And it's a generous 3. Because there were some things I liked, but our 3s are middle of the road. Would I ever recommend this? No, it's not that good.
Yeah.
Was it the worst thing I ever read? No, it wasn't.
Oop.
I might remember what happens.
Yeah.
In a year.
True.
Yeah, it was a generous 3. So that's that.
Okay.
You guys, let us know. Did you read this month's book with us? Did you read Here One Moment? Did you like it a lot more or a lot less? And how about leave us a comment and let us know, how would you react if someone walked up to you and gave you your death prediction? How would you handle that? I'd love to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Yeah, it is. All right. I think we're done. What do you think, Classy?
I think so.
Well, this has been a fun one. It's even when we don't like the book that much, it's still fun talking about it.
Yeah, it is.
It's worth it.
It is to hear the different opinions, and to see, like the things that you did like about it and how we, discussed at the end that, maybe Cherry should not be in this book.
Exactly.
Or just a little bit of Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, that's it for today. Thanks for listening to the entire episode. We appreciate you for doing that. We'll be back again next month with another supposed thriller. We'll see what happens when we get to it.
Oh my gosh.
But until then, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, please head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a positive 5-star review. It's a simple action that makes a big difference. You can also like this episode on your favorite podcast player or share it with your fellow bookworm friends on social media. Joining the Shelf Addiction Patreon family is another way to support us. For as little as $2 a month, you can help our team create even more amazing bookish content. If Patreon isn't your thing, Consider becoming a supporter on the Spreaker app for just $5 a month and gain access to exclusive audio-only content. You can find me everywhere, including Instagram, X, and TikTok under the handle Shelf Addiction. Join our book club of the same name on the book club's website and app, where we discuss all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. Thanks for tuning in.